Before we get started, I would like to remind you that if you would like to support the channel, head on over to firstwarrior.com. First Warrior is the original American badass brand, bringing you the finest ladies and men's apparel from all over the USA since 2012. They're a brand made for American patriots, pro-police, pro-fire, pro-military, pro-gun. So head on over to firstwarrior.com and use my discount code SOHIMANUSA to get 10% off on every single order. And how about stopping by and looking at our ambassador program? We take in a wide variety of people, from those who may have served in Vietnam, who may have 50 kills under his belt, to the local level 1000 prestige master Call of Duty player who has never fired a gun in his life but goes by the name of Claps Your Mama's Cheeks 69. Whatever your taste is, First Warrior has something for you. So check out firstwarrior.com, and again, use my discount code if you would like to support the channel. Thank you, and let's get on with today's video. Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back. I'm sorry there's like kind of a glare here. Let me see if I can fix this. Let's see if I can. It's a little bit better. Just gonna throw things off just a tad bit, but I'll work on that post edit. Welcome back. A lot of shit has been going down. Biden gave us his quote-unquote speech to Congress. Ted Cruz fell asleep. It was just a mess, man. It was all doom and gloom. Honestly, I didn't watch it. I watched segments. I'm like actually trying to catch up on what everyone else in the community is saying about it, because like no one really cared about it. Honestly, but that's not the point. I made to talk about something else, because of course we have the left showing their true colors. We have them showing their racism. Tim Scott last week has been attacked for basically his address on Biden's speech. Now, of course, we all know the incident with Joy Behar from The View, basically telling a black man how he should feel about racism in this country, even though Tim in his speech says that he feels as though America itself is not racist, but there are things that we need to work on. But of course, Joy wanted him to acknowledge systemic racism, which again, the thing about the left, the thing about these fucking liberals, well, let's just call them leftists, because they're not even liberals. Let's call them what they are. I hear that word time and time again: systemic racism, systemic racism, systemic racism. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll hear you out. I'll listen. Show me a law on the books where it ultimately discriminates against blacks. Show me one law that we have on the books in the United States of America that discriminates against blacks. She gave the example of housing and education, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? If anything, they're discriminating against whites and Asians for having too high of test scores, too high of GPAs. They're lowering the bars in these colleges and pushing this affirmative action bullshit so more blacks can get in colleges. It's just, I'm like, wow. Wow, just wow. So Whoopi Goldberg, blah blah, why can't I fucking talk? Whoopi Goldberg also gave her remarks on Tim Scott's on his rebuttal, his speech. So we're gonna check that out. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be full of bullshit. Nevertheless, man, the left is truly racist, man. I'm gonna show you guys some shit that I found on Twitter that's been floating around. Because actually, Uncle Tim was trending on Twitter until they finally removed it. But yeah, bro, you can tell all that shit. Even Tim Scott himself said in his speech that he gets called all kinds of coons, all kinds of Uncle Toms by the left. No one on the right. Well, I'm not gonna say no one. Maybe there are some on the right who feels the same way. I don't know. But he says most of that shit is coming from the left, and I believe the guy. I honestly believe him. So, man, it's just like the fact that Joy Behar can tell Tim Scott how the fuck he should feel, bro. That's so disingenuous. How can you tell a black man how he should feel about racism? You have no dog in this fight, Joy. I don't see. That's the thing about these white leftists, man. They think they can speak on whatever the fuck they want to. and no one will even pressure them on it, because obviously they control mainly all of the media and our entertainment. So of course no one's gonna push back and no one's gonna give a rebuttal on this shit. But nevertheless, let's check out what Whoopi Goldberg had to say about this whole incident here. This is, bro. All right, there was an ad. Hold on. There goes, guys. Shop at firstwarrior.com. Use that discount code to get 10% off on every single order. Okay.
I want to start by saying, for those of us who don't live in the Twitterverse, because we're used to seeing that kind of horrendous behavior, and you don't know who it is. You don't know whether the person is black or white or female. You don't know who it is. So I tend to stay away from things like that. But one of the things that bothered me is that, people are talking about, if that's how you're going to act towards one guy, you shouldn't talk about, racism. Well, you should, because we've seen it for 4 years, directed at various people, various kinds of people. So racism is alive and well in this country.
Whoa. What the fuck is she bro? I hate that this shit is glowing like that. What the fuck is this bitch talking about? Racism is alive and well. Where, bitch? I can go right now. I can go into any store that I want to, and I don't face racism. I don't face discrimination. There aren't whites only and black only signs where I live. Still doing it, son of a bitch. Racism is alive and well. Bro, I can't fathom how the leftist mind operates. The mental gymnastics that you have to conjure up in your mind to get to that conclusion. Just because we found a small pocket of quote-unquote racist activity, tiny pockets, tiny incidents. I guess they're not going to bring up the fact that all those other quote-unquote hate crimes a lot of those were done by like that one guy, I forget where that was. I remember a guy spray painted like the N-word on his shop or something like that. It was stupid. And there was another one with that girl, and she said two white boys held her down and like cut her hair or something like that. Some weird shit like that. I'm like, what the fuck? But going back to that notion, racism is alive and well. Prove it. Prove that racism is alive and well, because we had our first quote-unquote black president. Even though the nigga was biracial. We have our first quote-unquote female black vice president or whatever. Even though one day she's black, another day she's another ethnicity. So I don't... Bruh. Those... Barack Obama and Kamala Harris, they've made it to the pinnacle. They made it to the highest office in this country, but yet racism is alive and well. I can go out and smash any white bitch I want in this country, and I won't be hung from a tree. But racism is alive and well. I can go into any store, without seeing whites only and blacks only, but racism is alive and well. I have school choice. I have the choice and the freedom to pick and choose where I wanted to go to when I was growing up. Obviously I wanted to just stay, in my little high school that was closest to me. Big mistake. I should have went to the school further out. But nevertheless, I had that choice. But yet racism is alive and well. Even when I tried to finance a car. I could have if my credit wasn't so bad, honestly. But still, nevertheless, I still could have been approved for the finance process. I would just have to put down a larger down payment. But racism is alive and well. Bro, when I used to live on my own, when I went through the process of getting an apartment with my buddy and our friend, and then, you know, things kind of got iffy. I might tell you guys that story later, but we were approved for the apartment. But somehow racism is alive and well. Let's keep going. Dumb bitch.
Whether it's being directed at Muslims or being directed at Mexicans or black people, it is here. So while we're talking about these things, it would be nice if he could have said, you know what? I don't believe the country is entirely racist, but we have some issues we have to deal with. That would have made me feel better. And as
I've also experienced a different kind of intolerance. I get called Uncle Tom and the N-word by progressives, by liberals. Just last week, a national newspaper suggested my family's poverty was actually privilege because a relative owned land generations before my time. Believe me, I know firsthand our healing is not finished. In 2015, after the shooting of Walter Scott, I wrote a bill to fund body cameras. Last year, after the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, I built an even bigger police reform proposal. But my Democratic colleagues blocked it. I extended an olive branch. I offered amendments, but Democrats used a filibuster to block the debate from even happening. My friends across the aisle seemed to want the issue more than they wanted a solution. But I'm still working. I'm hopeful that this will be different.
Did Whoopi Goldberg not even listen to Tim Scott's? Oh, he said it. He said it. He said that there's still things that we have to fix. There's still issues that we need to conquer. He said it in his speech. Bro, these fucking, these leftists, oh my God. Let's finish this video, man. I don't even know what to say.
as far as how much stuff is going to cost us, you know, I don't remember people flipping out about the fact that, you know, our deficit grew by $2 trillion under you-know-who. You know, he said he was going to eliminate the nation's debt. It grew 39% under him. When he came in, it was 19 point.
This is exactly what Rand Paul was talking about. The stimulus, all the money that we shipped out for stimulus, all the money that we gave to other nations and other countries, that grew our deficit. Rand Paul said this. I think I even made a video about this. I can't remember. This was what he was talking about when he was when he was on the floor in the Senate talking about this very same issue. That pushing all of this money is just going to raise our deficit and we're going to have more to pay back. Rand Paul's. And now they're bitching and complaining, but yet at the same time, they wanted to stimulate the economy and they wanted to get all this funding out. That's contradictory of what you're trying to say. Well, of what you're actually saying. How can... So you're complaining about the deficit, but yet at the same time, you're wanting to spend a bunch of money to stimulate the economy. You know, our deficit wouldn't have grew. We wouldn't have to had to spend trillions of dollars if we kept the fucking country open. Kept the country open. People who want to wear masks can wear masks. People who don't. You know, protect yourself. All that jazz. Let people have the freedom to do and act in accordance of what their life. Well, not what am I saying? Let people have the freedom of acting accordingly in their life. That's it. Bro, what? You gotta be shitting me, bro.
.9, he left, it was 27. I'm saying that only because, yeah, somebody's going to have to clean up this mess. There is a mess. And whether it's a Republican mess or a Democratic mess, it doesn't matter, because it's a mess for the American people. And all I care about is finding a way to clean it up. Because for all those young people, you don't want to walk into this country, you don't want to grow up in this country in the garbage. You don't want to feel like your country doesn't have any sense, doesn't care about who you are. I want both sides. And when someone says no one reached out, I have to say, you know, the 5 times that Democrats joined Republicans, it was to help do all of the COVID relief that you all wanted to do. But I noticed that you all did not do the same. Not one Republican senator reached out to help pass Biden's COVID reform. So somewhere there is a disconnect.
Last year, under Republican leadership, we passed 5 bipartisan COVID packages. Congress supported our schools, our hospitals, saved our economy, and funded Operation Warp Speed, delivering vaccines in record time. All 5 bills got 90 votes in the Senate. Common sense found common ground. In February, Republicans told President Biden we wanted to keep working together to finish this fight. But Democrats wanted to go it alone. They spent almost $2 trillion on a partisan bill that the White House bragged was the most liberal bill in American history. Only 1% went to vaccinations, no requirement to reopen schools promptly. COVID brought Congress together 5 times. This administration pushed us apart. Another issue that should unite us is infrastructure. Republicans support everything you think of when you think of infrastructure: roads, bridges, ports, airports, waterways, high-speed broadband. We're in for all of that. But again, Democrats want a partisan wish list. They won't even build bridges to build bridges. Less than 6% of the president's plan goes to roads and bridges. It's a liberal wish list of big government waste, plus the biggest job-killing tax hikes in a generation. Experts say when all is said and done, it would lower wages of the average American worker and shrink our economy.
Tim Scott addressed that notion as well. He said himself, Democrats wanted to go at that whole, $2 trillion for the relief alone. They didn't want Republican help. Tim Scott said that 1% of that funding was actually for COVID relief. 1%. Where's the rest of that money going? Tim Scott said it said nothing about opening schools. It said nothing about infrastructure. So these two opposite ideologies. Okay, these two opposite ideologies. First of all, you can't force either side to work with each other. This has to be bipartisan. Why would Republicans go with this bullshit Biden COVID relief that he has going on if 1% is actually going to COVID relief? Nothing else is helping the American people besides that 1%. So tell me, why would Republicans just sit back and go along with that shit? See, that's the thing about really criticizing both sides and really understanding and paying attention to both sides. You have to see through all the fuck shit. A lot of people aren't going to even catch that. A lot of people aren't going to catch this. See, the thing about leftists is that they're so good with words that they can make you feel shit. They can make you say, oh, Republicans, they're not trying to help the American people. Well, how about you ask Republicans, hey, why aren't you helping? See, that's the thing that's so important. You have to ask questions to get the full response. You just can't say, oh, Republicans aren't going to help. Republicans didn't reach out. No, bitch. Tim Scott said himself that Democrats wanted to go at it alone. Nothing really in that bill was helping the American people. 1% for COVID relief, truly.
But I prefer that someone start talking about this country as a country of people, and people who have some issues that we have to clean up with all the stuff we've got to do, and we got to do it now. Otherwise, no one's going to get it done, and we'll be sitting here in 20 years bitching about the same thing.
It's funny that you guys have been voting Democrat for like over 60 years, and yet you're still bitching about the same thing. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I don't know what else I can say. But obviously Whoopi didn't even pay attention to Tim Scott's full speech. It's I don't know. Like, I just don't know, man. But that's why you guys have to really pay attention to what both sides is really doing. Because for the longest time, even when growing up, I used to hear the same thing, that Republicans didn't care about the American people, yada yada, they're racist, all that fuck shit. Now, don't get me wrong. There are crooks on both sides. Even I know that. Lord knows I know that. Especially now. But even I can identify that the majority of the crooks, the majority of the people who are fucking up this country, comes from the left. Simple as that. I mean, you can say whatever you want about the right. We don't have as much nutcases as the left. Simple as that. You know, man, a particular person, I remember, I mean, it's crazy because I'm actually just finding out, well, I actually found out that he said this about liberals a couple years ago. I mean, even though I've heard of the guy. But I'm gonna leave you guys with a speech from one of the past civil rights leaders. I mean, again, I just recently found this. I didn't even know he said this, and yet every February in Black History Month, like, they prop him up and like they kind of acknowledge him, not so much as someone else who's like much bigger, who's always being acknowledged during Black History Month. But I'm gonna leave you guys with that speech, man. So until next one, take care. Bye bye.
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal, and white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, But the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leader, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress,